Good morning, YouTubers. This is YouTube Mechanic, Trooper Mechanic. I'm going to go ahead and do this outdoors. I'm going to change the fuel injectors due to the fact that I don't want my garage to smell like gasoline or fuel. So I'm going to go ahead and do the project out here, and then I'll do the other two projects inside my garage where it'll be a little cooler before it warms up really fast. It's going to be a hot day, looks like. Anyways, okay, this is my 2013 Nissan ALTIMA Model S. I'll be replacing the fuel injectors, and like I said earlier, I decided to do it outside since I don't want to get my garage all smelling. Anyways, what I have done is I've opened the gas cap back here to relieve the fuel pump. You want to release the pressure from the fuel pump. And what I have done is I have taken the negative terminal off the battery, so there won't be no power to the fuel pump. You want no pressure for those rails so that you won't have any fuel squirting at you. I've taken the bolts here. They're 5mm hex wrench, and we take off the covering for it, the Nissan cover, and I'm going to go ahead and place it aside here for a minute. What I have done here is I removed these two tubes here from top of the engine just to make it easier to access the rail and give you room. I'll be removing these two little notches here, remove all the cable so I can have better access to my fuel rail and my fuel injectors. Just a quick hint real quick. I've noticed that the fuel injectors have not been replaced. The reason why I know that because this factory clip-on is still there and I snapped it. I'm just going to have to zip tie it down here where it holds all the cables electrical together. But I had to break that. I tried to take it off from right there, but it's pretty hard. So, it's hard to do that. Of course, now it comes off, but I broke that clip, and that tells me that it's a factory clip, and the fuel injectors have not been replaced since 140,000 miles, 144,000 miles this vehicle has. So that's an indicator letting you know that it hasn't been replaced. I'll just zip tie down here to hold the cables together when I'm done, and it'll do the same thing. No big deal. I thought I could take that clip right here. If you look over here, this clip here, I thought I could take it off. You see my finger right there, this clip here, the electrical clip, without removing this apparatus, this here. So I have to take this off to make more room, and then I can take the clip off. There are two 10mm bolts that need to be removed from the rail, and it's right here, if you can see it. It is, let me get the camera just right there. Okay, there's one bolt right there. I'm going to point to it. Let me see if I can get it right there, 10mm. And there's one right here, down here. Okay, I have my torque wrench on there because I want to see what the torque is when I loosen it up. So this way I'll know what it is when I need to tighten them up. But the manual says maybe 7 to 10 pounds per square, 10 pounds. But I will check and verify that here in a minute. So I found out it was about 25 to 28 square inch per pound, which that's about right. That's what the book recommends. I got this little fancy tool. I'm just loosening up the bolts on the 10mm. You can use your ratchet. I just like using these tools that I buy, expensive tools that I have, and you don't have to have really expensive tools to do this project. It's very easy. I just like to do a lot of research and use the tools available. There is one tool that I don't have that the manufacturer or the manual says that you use, but I'll tell you here in a minute when I remove those clip-ons. There's special clip-on tools that you can remove that, but I've removed them before in the past with no incident. These fuel injectors did not come with those clip-ons, so I'm going to reuse the ones it has on the rails, so it should do the job for it, and if I'm careful, hopefully I won't damage one. So I thought I was going to have to go to the tool store or the shop there and get a specialty tool that I needed to disconnect the fuel line, but then I realized I bought a set many years ago, and this is the one that you use to take out the fuel line. I put paper towels under there because it will spill a lot of fuel. Remember, the rail is still full of fuel and it will leak out, even though it's not, the fuel pump has been disconnected and taken off. Okay, YouTubers, I couldn't locate the tool that I had didn't work for my fuel rail remover. So I went to the local tool shop or tool store. They didn't have it either, so I'm gonna have to compromise and just figure this out. What I did, I disconnected the electrical to the fuel injectors, and I use this special tool. You don't have to have the special tool, but it makes it a lot easier to pull those things out, pull the plugs out. So let's see if I can pull this out here in a minute. I was able to invert the fuel rail and expose the fuel injectors without disconnecting the fuel line, which is okay with me, as long as I can get to the fuel injectors, replace them, and install it back in. So it'll save a lot of fuel being spilled and being all stunk up. So I'm happy with so far with what's happening. Okay, I took one of the clips off from one of the fuel injectors, and because they didn't provide any for me when I bought my new fuel injector, so I'm going to go ahead and use the old ones. They should be good if I don't break them or damage them. And I use this tool. I mean, it's not a special tool. It's just one of those clip tools that make sure it has a hook, and it just spreads open the fuel injectors so that you can carefully take them out without damaging them. If you're not going to use them and you have new ones, you can use a screwdriver and just pry them out, I guess, because you're going to replace them anyway, so you have some newer ones. And who cares about the fuel injectors if you damage it because it's the old one. So there you go. Okay, there's one thing. Look at the rail. The railing looks really good. The ports do. I took out all of the old fuel injectors, and I'm going to replace them with the new ones. Okay. There's one thing that I like to do, and I learned a long time ago. Do not put any lubricant or oil on these things. That's not what they recommend. What I've learned is to dip it in gasoline, a little bit of gasoline, and that would do the trick for you. Okay. So just carefully dip it in, and then put them back into place. That's how you do it. Okay, here are the new fuel injectors installed on the fuel rail. Make sure you put those clips on correctly. Make sure they snap, and you see here at the edge here. Make sure that they click, and they are installed properly right there as well. Okay, on both sides, and then just wiggle a little bit. Make sure that it snaps in place, and it's nice and everything clicks, and it's nice and tight in place, and it's ready to go inside the engine.